Hello and welcome to ACS Golf, and today's video, which is a versus video. So if you're new to the channel, basically what I do is I put two golf clubs against each other and find out who is the winner. Always excited doing these videos because believe me, a lot of the time the results are not what you would expect. Now today I'm looking at two players' irons from very much different spectrums of the market. One is from one of the most well-known brands, is probably the most well-known iron, is played by two of the biggest name golfers out there. And then the other one is right at the bottom, direct-to-consumer brand, a fraction of the cost. And not really that many people know about it. It is in America, and I think a lot of people know it over in America, know the brand, but maybe not the rest of the world. So I'm putting these two together to find out really if there is a difference between them. If the £1,000, $1,000 difference, which is roughly there is between these two sets, am I going to feel that there's £1,000 difference? Am I going to have £1,000 different performance? Or is it just a case that, Taylormade, obviously with all the tech they go into it and all the marketing, etc., have to charge more when these direct consumers who don't do that can charge a lot cheaper and still produce stuff just as good. So that's the whole point of the video, and we'll discuss that at the end. Now, first things first is introduce the iron. So firstly, I've got this. So direct to consumer one, the Matlby TS4 iron. There you go. Very much a player's iron, very much that bladed iron with a little bit more forgiveness, which we'll discuss in a second. If you haven't seen my review of this club already, do check out my channel because it is on there currently. And it's definitely worth a look because believe me, these aren't bad at all. And then on to the iron that everyone has probably already guessed what it is if you know your golf, and it is this. It is the Taylormade P7TW. So Tiger Woods irons, obviously is also being played by Scotty Scheffler, world #1. I mean, that is definitely a bladed iron. Look at that. Oh, you miss that, it hurts. So yeah, so as always, what we're going to do in this versus video is we're going to have a quick look at both these clubs. I'm going to come back in here, go very quickly through the technology that's in there. If you want to have a full detailed review of these, do check out the channels because I do have them on there already. Then we're going to get down to range, going to throw some figures at you, and then we're going to come back here and discuss if there is a winner and also if there is actually £1,000 difference between these. We'll discuss that in a bit. All right, let's have a closer look at these two clubs. So there you go, and both great looking irons, they really are. Obviously you've got the Maltby, which I think is really nice on that, not shiny, looks really good. You've got milling on the bottom as well, good blade length, good size for a player's iron, and it just looks smart. You wouldn't know that's a direct-to-consumer brand there. It just does look smart. And obviously then you've got the P7TW, which just looks iconic. Look at that, beautiful. Now, going into technology that's between these, because they're both players' irons, but I definitely say one is more bladed than the other, and it is definitely the P7TW. Because you can just tell it's just a little bit smaller, the top line's a little bit thinner, the sole as well is a little bit thinner. There's a little bit more offset on this one. It's just maybe the blade length as well is a little bit longer. It's just basically a little bit chunkier than this P7TW. They're both forged. They both have tungsten weighting in there. The P7W has a little tungsten weight there, and this has tungsten weighting in it as well. I think you can see there's a bar there, I believe, that helps with forgiveness. Definitely say this probably has a little bit more forgiveness than this just because it is a little bit bigger, but definitely both players irons, definitely both bladed irons, but traditional bladed irons, you know, well, not traditional bladed irons, sorry, modern bladed irons. You know, traditional bladed irons didn't have any weightings in them, you know, it's just a forged head, no tungsten, etc. That was sort of your traditional bladed irons. I'd say this is closer to traditional than this. This is definitely more of a modern blade, which is nothing wrong with that. You know, just trying to give you as much forgiveness in a small package as possible. As I mentioned, you know, both got a milled sole. Also discussed the lofts. So this is actually lofted at 33 degrees to 7 iron. So not jacked, but for this type of bladed iron, you know, getting maybe a little bit on the strong side. Maybe you'd say it's, I would never say this plays distance, to be honest, because of the size of it, but definitely a little bit stronger. While the Tiger Woods one is traditional 35 degrees, very traditional for the 7 iron. Actually, if you get, I think there's Tiger Woods specs, I think it's 37 you can buy, which is even more de-lofted, which is just insane. But yeah, there is a loft difference in there, so I am expecting there to be different performance. I'm expecting this to be longer than this because of that loft and the fact that it's a little bit bigger as well. But the whole point of this isn't to check the distances between them, because if you want to work about the distances, if you're worried about these sort of irons, then you can just get, you know, the loft change it if you needed to, you know, make this one stronger or make this one weaker. That's the whole point of these type of irons, these players irons. The whole point really of testing these is, number one, if they're both consistent, so same consistency levels. Number two, if they feel the same, if they perform the same. You know, I want, even though I know the distance is going to be different, I want to make sure that everything else is the same, so I can say, well, hold on, you know, there isn't £1,000 between these two clubs. So there you go. So there's a quick little insight of the technology that's in there, and obviously the different lofts. What we're going to do now is going to get down to range. I'm going to throw some figures at you on a very windy day, annoyingly. Wind width. So I was absolutely nailing both these irons and had a massive rollout on both of them. I will say straight off the bat, when I tested both of these, they both equally had some really good stopping power that you'd expect from these type of irons. So I'll give you the figures, but we'll discuss later just to show the consistency exactly. But yeah, take the rollout with very much a pinch of salt. It's only because I had a wind behind me going in the right direction. I had some great drives that day because of it. Got over 300 yards with my driver. I just need that wind all the time. Always with me. Never in the face, just always with me. All right, let's get down to the range. Then I'm going to throw some figures at you, show a few shots with each. I believe first will be the PTW, and then it'll be followed by the Matlby. Okay, and I'll see you back in here for, well, to go through the results. All right, see you in a bit. I'm down at the range on a very blustery day. 4 shots with the Taylormade first, and then 4 shots with the Matlby. Now, I will say the numbers for these are a little bit exaggerated because of the wind. However, it's still a good test because the whole point of these is to match them, see how consistent they are, and of course you're going to be playing golf when it is windy. I mean, it's very rare that I go out, to be honest, and there isn't some sort of weather elements affecting it. So yeah, you've got to practice on windy days as well as still ones. So into the numbers. So the P7TW had a carry of 158 yards, total distance 171 yards, ball speed 110 miles per hour, launch angle 22 and height 77 feet. While with the Matlby, I had a carry of 164 yards, total distance 180 yards, ball speed 113 miles per hour, launch angle 21 and height 74 feet. Longest for the P7TW was 175 yards total distance, and for the Matlby was actually a whopping 191 yards. So yeah, definitely a little bit more of a range with the TS4 than over the P7TW. But then I would say the Matlby had a little bit more forgiveness over the P7TW. So yeah, maybe there wasn't so much of a drop-off like there was with the Taylormade on bad hits. But I also looked at consistency today, because that's the whole point of these irons. It's not really about distance. You know, I always knew the TS4 was going to go longer than the P7TW because it has a stronger loft, 33 degrees to 35 of the Taylormade. So it's really, for me, is consistent. And looking at the numbers here, you see there consistency for the P7TW was 73%, while with the Matlby it was 71%. I'll say as well with the T74, face seemed a little bit close, so you saw those shots earlier, and a lot more went out to the left, while the P7TW was a lot straighter. But overall, both felt great. Both really consistent still on a very difficult day, you know, with quite strong winds. So both good playing clubs. So there you go. As I did say, the wind did affect that. You know, the P7TW had a total carry of 158 yards, total distance 171 yards. So big old rollout. Would never normally have that rollout when I tested them. And I've taken them on a golf course as well. You know, the 7.9 really pretty much stops on a dime because of that loft and the spin. Ball speed 110 miles per hour, launch angle 22 degrees, height 77. And then when with the Matlby, we had a little bit more carry, 164 yards, total distance 180 yards, ball speed 113 miles per hour, launch angle 21, and height 74 feet. I also say, because obviously the range at the moment, you know, it is firmer ground, so probably getting a bit more rollout than I would if I was doing this test in winter, even with the wind, I will say. But yeah, not bad at all, to be fair. Exactly where I'd expect them to be. You know, like I said, I'd expect this to be shorter, and it was. You know, the carry was about 6 yards shorter, which I would probably expect. This is a bigger head than this. It is more lofted. So there you go. And exactly the same with the ball speed. You know, 3 miles per hour quicker than this one. But then this one had a better launch by 1 degree than this one. Had a better overall height by a couple of feet than this one. So everything ties up. So they were both performing exactly how I would expect them to perform for the lofts that they had. So nothing wrong there. Now, one thing I did test as well is consistency. So which one was basically the most consistent out of all the shots that I did? Obviously, human error comes in there, which I did take into account as well, because we are testing forgiveness there. But it's more just, if I'm hitting relatively the same spot, I want the ball flight to be the same. I want it to be going the same distance, and I wanted it to be good. Now, yes, all right, again, it was on a windy day, so the consistency probably wouldn't be as high if it wasn't, because every now and again you get a bigger gust, and therefore the ball's going to go a little bit further. But still, it is an important thing to look at, because guess what? There's going to be days when you play golf and it's going to be windy. Been quite windy over here in the UK, you know, and I don't normally play links courses. You know, I'm definitely inland, just south of London. And so when it does pick up wind, I do tend to struggle, because I don't play as much as I would if I was, say, by the coast. So, you know, it's definitely something to take into account, and definitely something to practice. You know, it's really good if you know, that wind, that's about a club, or that's a half a club or something like that. You know, it will help you get on the greens more, or you'll suffer, because it gets really quite hard on windy days. But yeah, going into the consistency of these irons. So for the P7TW, I had a consistency of 73%. Not bad for a 7-iron at all, to be fair. Definitely a bladed one with me hitting it. Really happy with that. And then consistency with this one, 71%. So not that different at all. But this was definitely a little bit more consistent, and I saw it as well. You know, definitely had the small similar ball flights. Definitely, you know, came out a lot straighter than this one. And the Matlby, I think, because it has a little bit of offset there, was definitely coming out a little bit more to left. I naturally tend to come out left anyway, but it definitely was coming out a little bit more left. I was getting that little bit more left to right sort of movement on that ball. So yeah, not the end of the world, but for me, this was definitely straighter, and I was, as I mentioned, more consistent. You know, 73% to 71%. Does that equal £1,000? I'll let you guys decide that, to be honest, because let's be honest, as amateur golfers, you know, that day was a pretty good day consistency wise. On other days, probably be a little bit better with a 7-iron, I'd say, but then there's other days where I'd be even worse. So there you go. Would I be? Anyway, not going down that rabbit hole. I'd like to say I would never be worse than 73%, but you never know. Well, I already have been 71%, so there you go. But anyway, just quickly on to the price. So basically with Matlby, you tend to pick up the heads, and then you got to put your own shafts and etc., as you'd expect from direct to consumer. So putting in a shaft and doing all that and getting a set would cost dollars, $785, which is around £600 over here in the UK. The P7TWs, if you want to pick these up in the US, I think it was for the pitching wedge, just under $2,000. And over here in the UK, £165, £1,659. So basically, yeah, it's £1,000 and $1,000 difference between these two clubs. As we know, distance-wise, both consistent. Yes, this wins on consistency, because as I mentioned, I'm not really too worried about the distance, because this is stronger lofted. If we go through the ACS golf scale, you know, through because, like I said, I reviewed both of these. Distance, I gave the Matlby a 2.5. I gave the Taylormade a 2, as you'd expect, which is proven by the distances today. There is that difference. Feel-wise now, this feels great. It really does. It's soft, it's forged, it's beautiful. But this just felt a little bit better. I don't know if I just had it in my brain. I know it's a more expensive club. I know it's a little bit more premium. But out the middle, it just felt gorgeous. And this feels relatively firm for a blade because Tiger wanted it to feel like that. But I really, really enjoyed hitting this, to be honest. I really enjoyed hitting this as well. But this one definitely felt a little bit softer and just felt, I don't know, a little bit more premium, I'd say. But yeah, response-wise for mishits, probably this one again. If I mishit it, I knew about it quite badly. With this one, you can still tell it and you can still feel it. But again, that one just feel a little bit more feel with this. So feel 4 out of 5. Feel for this 4.5 out of 5. Looks, it's up to you what you want to say about looks. So I gave this a 5 because I love the look of it. I gave this a 4 out of 5. Which I think actually on the day is a bit harsh about that, to be honest. And then forgiveness, I gave them both 2 out of 2, 2 out of 5. But I would definitely say this definitely has a little bit more forgiveness in it, 100%. There's a few low shots where I hit with it. It definitely went a little bit further than I'd expect with that P7TW. But as I mentioned, the ball flight on this is so consistent. I was just losing distance. That was the only thing. So yeah, really, really happy with that. And then when it came down to price, I gave this a 4 at the time, and then that a 1 because it's just ridiculous. You know, $2,000. Oh, insane for a set of bladed irons. Just go and pick yourself up a second-hand set of bladed irons like Mizuno. Lovely. But yeah, so there you go. So there's the difference between the two. So overall, winner. And remember, we're not looking at distance in this. We are purely looking at what this is like for a blade. Workability wise, by the way, they both work great. You can both move them left and right. You know, they are perfect. So the fact they are both blades, the winner for me would be this, the P7TW. It is a gorgeous iron. It's beautiful. It's so consistent. You know, all right, yes, you lose. It's not forgiving at all. It really isn't, but it's so consistent. I'm always really impressed when I play with these. I play with them every now and again, and believe me, there's nothing better when you hit one straight out of the middle and you get it on the green. It's such a beautiful club. I love the feeling out of the middle. Everything about it is just excellent. This is still amazing. This is a great club. Matlby have made a great, fantastic player's iron here with a more forgiveness than this, 100%. But for me, it just maybe didn't have that as premium feel as the the P7TW. Maybe just didn't quite have that premium feel, as I mentioned. Didn't maybe have that consistency. I wouldn't say there was any shots that sort of went crazy. I mean, just looking at the numbers, you know, just looking at carry there. I mean, I got this, well, maybe one carried 175 and it got this to 191, but I think that's more the fact that just the wind picked up, to be fair. Ball speed maybe jumped up a little bit. I did get this up to 117 and the lowest was 106. While this, again, like I said, you know, just so consistent. You know, the average was 117, the lowest was 105 because that was an awful bladed hit. Ball speed, but all the rest were just around 113, 111, 112. So consistent. So maybe the ball speed fluctuated a little bit with this, but again, it is very consistent and it is a great iron. So yeah, so overall, the P7TW definitely does win it. More consistent in my mind, feels better and looks the part. However, there is no way on this green earth that there should be £1,000 difference between these clubs. There is not, believe me. Yes, all right, this is a better club, but this is awesome. It is fantastic. It feels great. It performs consistency-wise really good. Because it's a little bit stronger, it does give you a little bit more distance. You know, it also does have a little bit more forgiveness in there as well. It is a fantastic club, and believe me, it is definitely worth it if you're going to buy this over this. You know, if someone was saying, I'm starting the game, or, you know, I've been playing for years, I want a blade, but you know, I don't want to go crazy with it. I'd say get that, save yourself £1,000, put it to green fees, put it to joining a club, put it to, you know, more lessons to help you hit this better. You know, as much as this is an amazing, amazing iron, that is just, it's just going to help your average golfer more. A little bit more distance and a little bit more forgiveness. It will do. So for your average golfer, that is definitely, there you go. All right, average golfer, this would win it because of the distance and because of that little bit of forgiveness. But for your purists, and which is actually technically the best iron, it is this P7TW. All right, and I'm going to stop there because I can probably keep on going on and on about this, but they're both great. But yeah, definitely tell this is a more premium, well, not necessarily premium, but definitely tell this is a better blade. However, it is not worth $1,000 more than that. No, because this is awesome as well. All right, guys, now I hope you enjoyed this video. Do comment down below if you play Matlby or if you play the P7TWs. You know, if you do, let me know your thoughts. Definitely going to be taking these out again over the summer because I've got this 4-to pitching wedge. That's great fun. These clubs are great fun. Especially I've got my speed up now, so hopefully be able to hit these a little bit further than last time I took them out. But yeah, you know, let me know in the comments down below if you played either of these. If you enjoyed this video, do give it a like and do remember to subscribe to the channel. We've got lots of versus videos coming up over the next couple of months, some really good ones. And also remember, we've got a review coming out every Sunday and some new reviews on Fridays as well. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this video and I'll catch you soon for the next ACS Golf one. All right, see you then. Bye-bye.